I was heavily pregnant when I was offered the promotion the first time.
Oh my goodness.
And I unfortunately had to turn it down because I felt like if I accepted it, it would be selfish and irresponsible. Because I'm like, imagine taking the promotion and then 1 month later you're on maternity leave.
But isn't that wouldn't they have understood that factor
Yeah.
that like there is a child that's about to come out of your
yeah,
vagina?
I think they did. That's why they still offered it to me in the first place. But I didn't want to be like the first thing that I have to do as a head of my department is bye. Peace.
Right.
Like I'm gonna
Peace
go
out,
off.
guys.
Peace out,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
You know,
What you have
like
to
I
do.
don't want that. You know, like the team probably would need somebody to like steer them, right? And then the
Sure.
captain of the ship is like, I'm gonna chow for a bit,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna come back,
Okay.
and
That's
then I'll
very
be your. You know what I mean?
Hey, welcome to Mama's Here. I'm Diyana Hashim. And I'm Sofea Mastan. We're here to share the real unfiltered side of motherhood. Think of us as your mom gang on this insane adventure, constantly learning, growing, and most of the time, just winging it. Mama's Here because we know you've always been there for others. Now it's our turn to be there for you.
Hi there, welcome back to Mama's Here. I'm Sofea Mastan, and I'm so happy to be back with all of you.
And I'm Diyana Hashim, and today we're getting real about a topic that touches a lot of moms' hearts, especially for working moms specifically, because we're talking about the journey back into the workforce after having your children.
Yes, it feels like you have like so many things in your plate, you know, wearing so millions of hats, and sometimes wondering if you're getting it right.
Yeah, and like let's not forget about the emotional side of it. There's the guilt, the second guessing, trying to find the sweet spot where career and motherhood exists. Like, what is even that?
Yep, that's why we have the amazing Danielle Chong with us today. She's not juggling a thriving career. She just got a promotion, by the way, guys.
Totes my goats.
And motherhood. And she's also here to share her real, unfiltered experience with us.
Yeah, and we are going to dive into that story very, very shortly. But first, a word from our sponsors. We at Grow and Glow Mama are a sanctuary where motherhood meets empowerment. Together, we embrace strengths, lean on each other, and illuminate the path for all mamas. Join our vibrant community on Instagram and hotline group. Let's grow and glow together every step of the way.
All right, we're back. And hi, Danielle.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor.
Thank
Again?
you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for being here. I know
Yeah.
you're so busy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, what is life even?
She's a boss lady, craziness.
She's a boss lady at home.
Okay, wait. She's a boss lady at home.
She's a boss.
You just got promoted to some kind of like, you know what? I never really know what you do for a living.
Oh my gosh, she's a social media genius.
I know she's a social media genius, but I never really understood what exactly.
I call it like, okay, so people think social media is like just posting stuff, right?
Right.
But you have to have a strategy.
Yeah.
So I'm a strategist.
Okay, get the. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. All right,
So
yeah.
the genius between all those, you know, I think all the funny social media or relatable or viral, I would say.
Che.
Yeah.
Wow. You want me to take you out for lunch? Just say any. You don't need to do
No,
all
and
this.
it's not just that, dude. She is the founder of Super Mommy
Mommy
Club.
Club,
Yeah.
Please
You
follow
did-
her. It's
did-
amazing.
Did you actually forget that you did that?
Yeah, actually, I was like, when we were talking about manifestations earlier, right? I was like, oh wait, Super Mommy Club. Like,
Yeah.
I have to be, well, two things. I want to do more Super Mommy Club, and then I want to also see how we can monetize.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, so yeah, Super Mommy Club. Follow us on Instagram.
On IG.
Yeah,
and
no.
on their WhatsApp group because
Yeah,
we
WhatsApp
have
community.
like all this, you know, we can talk about everything and anything in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean,
Great support.
the more mommy communities, the better, obviously. But this like conversation that we're having today is really about the fact that you heard it. Like, so we have Danielle, who happens to have like 1,001 things that she does for a living, and then you have Sofea, who also has 1,001 things that she does for a living.
1,003 things. Yeah, a lot
and then
more.
for myself, 3.
No.
No way,
I've
man.
kept
That's
it.
not
I kept
true.
it. I kept it. I don't care.
But
I'm
that's
happy with
good.
that.
I mean, it's good to cap it too,
Yes.
to make sure that your mental health is all okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just take, and then we never know when to stop.
Yeah.
But then again, before we jump into all these things, I would like to ask you something. What is it like to jump back to your career after motherhood?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like a question that I've been pondering because I was like, I mean, it's definitely tough. I mean, if I go like backtrack a little bit, right? I remembered I was heavily pregnant when I was offered the promotion the first time,
Oh my goodness.
and I unfortunately had to turn it down because I felt like if I accepted it, it would be selfish and irresponsible. Because I'm like, imagine taking the promotion and then 1 month later you're on maternity leave.
But isn't that wouldn't they have understood that
that?
factor
Yeah.
that like there is a child that's about to come out of your
yeah, I think they did. That's why they
vajayjay?
still offered it to me in the first place. But I didn't want to be like the first thing that I have to do as a head of my department is bye. Peace.
Right.
Like I'm gonna
Peace
go
out,
off.
guys.
Peace out,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
You know,
what you have
like
to
I
do.
don't want that. You know, like the team probably would need somebody to like steer them, right? And then the
Sure.
captain of the ship is like, I'm gonna chow for a bit,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna come back,
Okay.
and
But
then
That's
I'll
very
be your. You know what I mean?
responsible. At the same time, it's a very grown up thing to do. I think when we have this in our 20s, I think we'll just okay, I'll take it.
Yes,
Straight,
yeah.
like,
So
you know?
I mean, for me, it was just like, okay, God's just saying like, maybe not now, not yet. Just chill
Yeah.
for a bit.
But then you get it again after what?
Yeah.
it's
So after
meant for
actually
you.
a month after, well, 2 months. It took me 2 months to get back the momentum after coming back from maternity leave. By the way, because I was like, oh, my head. I send my child to daycare so that I can go back to work. Because
Yeah.
my husband's also like Henry's also full time working,
Yeah.
running a business of his own. So I was like, oh, okay. And then it took 2 months, and I remember the first few weeks of coming back to maternity leave, I kept apologizing in my meetings to my team, like, guys, sorry, I'm so stupid. Like, I'm slow. Bear with me. Be patient with me. I have to, like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't remember.
Right.
You know, like, can you know, because you're
Well, yeah,
you're like
because your life
exactly.
just like freaking changed.
You were like a kilang
Hormones
susu
some more.
and you're
Yeah.
hormonal. You were like like a kilang susu, and then you're like hormonal. And all you wanted to do was just like, all you were doing was just spending time with your child, right? Like I felt like I was standby kilang
Yeah,
susu.
it's like
yeah.
our new baby. I remember this.
First
it's like
so?
our new baby. First, some more. It's like, you know, when you buy toys when you're younger and like, okay, I want to play the next day and don't want to let go for so
Exactly.
many
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is our baby, okay? So
Yeah.
of course it takes time for us to actually go into that momentum of
Yeah,
work.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was
Yeah.
overwhelming because then a lot of internal stuff was happening. And then 3 months after I got back to the groove, they offered me the promotion again.
Right.
That's nice.
And then I was like, oh yeah, man, I'll take it lah. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then it was a lot, it was very overwhelming because I was trying to cope with bouncing back
Mm-hmm.
and then also trying to deliver the best so that they can notice my efforts and not be like, oh, she just came back from maternity leave, right? Why should we be promoting her or whatever?
Yeah, but I'm glad that like. Well, I mean, to be fair, it would be pretty unethical for a company to want to say like no to it, especially if you had
Yes.
offered the promotion
Actually,
actually and all that.
mm.
But you are like damn hardcore. Damn you, Dan, for being so hardcore.
That's her Instagram
to
handle,
be
guys.
like to actually really make a solid effort to work extra hard to show that okay, yes, while I have been kilang factoring and like lack of sleep, etc.,
Take me
etc.,
seriously.
take me
Yeah.
seriously. I want to be able to do work. Now, not a lot of moms or people are able to do that sort of thing. Coming back to that, what kind of like support did you have during this period to actually make this possible? Because you tak naik gila ke?
Yeah, I did a little bit. Like, I mean, there were times where I'm like, can I just be like a full-time stay-at-home mom? But then I realized, oh wait, that's actually a bit harder. You know, like
Yeah, it's
it's a different ballgame altogether, right? Yeah, I think just having my husband there pushing me, and also I wanted to really do well in my career for Athena, right? To show her that like,
That's so true.
yeah, you know, like if you want a career, you can make a career. If you want something, you can work hard no matter. I feel like if you like suffer now and then enjoy later. That's
Yeah.
like my motto, right? So someone's got to do it. If you do it now, if you really hold your breath and just go through the pain and like ambil. And then after that it'll be a bit like easy.
Easier.
So a lot of talking with my husband and him motivating me like, you know, because he also started his company, but it took him 13 years to get there. So for me, it was like, baru 2 tahun though. Like, I have so much more to grow and learn and all that, right? But it's not impossible. You just have to like really, really work hard. And I have to admit, like, I did sacrifice some, you know, like maybe I could have spent that time with Athena, but I actually spent that time working, you know. But then in my mind, I'm like, that's part of the suffer now and then enjoy later.
I mean, there's always something, we have to go through something uncomfortable in order for
Exactly.
us to be somewhere or
Correct, yeah.
something. And it's okay because I also have that guilt feeling because the first baby I get to be together with my daughter up until
Right.
she's 6 months. And then I just went crazy. I'm like, oh my God, stay at home mom is so hard.
It is.
It is mentally challenging for me too because I want my me time.
Yeah.
But I can't get it because I'm like 24/7 working mode. Basically, stay at home mom is also a 24/7 job.
Working mode, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know how do you do it, but how do you set boundaries to ensure that you're not spread too thin between work and family as well?
I think there was a time where I would tell Henry, like my husband, hey, I can't be 100% today because I have a lot of work and I have like a presentation due or something tomorrow. Like if like I'm in agency, right? Advertising agency, right? So when we're in a pitch mode, sometimes we have like 3 days to create a whole big thing to sell to a client. It's a big deal because to me as a head now, it's like if I don't get that job, I don't get paid, I don't get my money, I get to maybe I have to fire people. You know, it's like so much of but when responsibility, like pressure, right? At night I'll be like up sometimes, but the boundaries is just like just communicating with my partner, saying that hey, I can't be 100% tonight. I can give you 60%. Can you handle the rest? And then
that's
and
a very very clear cut mature way of doing it, simply because like not a lot of people would understand that factor when you know you have I keep saying this, as a mom you can see time, you have this much of it, half of it you want to try to allocate it for your child, the other half is you're supposed to do you know whatever you want to do. But if at any point that your time is encroaching your time with your kid, there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. And also I have to definitely highlight this, you love your job, right?
I love my job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the things that, you know, when people make these sense of sacrifices, we shouldn't feel any guilt simply because we love what we do. I think that's something that I really have to
Amen.
highlight.
And when you find something that you love and that you can do day and night, you're constantly thinking about how to better and hone your craft. Like I feel like it's a blessing because not many people, like I have friends who are like 30-year-olds who are still figuring out what they want to do in their life. And I'm like, that's okay because I mean, like, if you look at my resume, right, it's so colorful, you know. I was like model, content creator, influencer, whatever you want to call it, DJ. Like, and then I went to advertising, like actual corporate job. I was in client side, I was in agency side. So I've like, it's so colorful, but then I finally, like, I think it was only like 26, 27 when I really found out like, after radio, doing my dream job, I want to be in social media. I want to be in an agency.
Like yours, how about you?
Yeah,
babe? Like
Same. It's so colorful too. I was in production. I was behind the scene.
You were also radio.
in front of the scene. Radio.
We all radio actually.
I was in radio.
Yeah.
I was also doing a little bit of like content creating. And then I don't know why I ended up in PR. I just wanted to work. And then I found passion like, I love creating ideas. I love this and this kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's true that guilt feeling, it's easier to say like, we forget about the guilt feeling, but it's still there. Even up to today, I still have that guilty feeling, even though I know sometimes, it's okay. You know, it's okay to have to be away from your kids sometimes. Like sometimes, especially my second born is so clingy and she's like, oh, mommy, like crying and everything like that. Just wanted me to be there. But we have to do what we have to do because at the end of the day, before our kids, we are daddy, and Sofea. So we have to always remember that. And I think we always forget, like, okay, after we have a baby, bye bye the old us and like whatever our dreams. And I know some moms who actually just leave their job because of their kids. I salute them.
Yeah,
But
it's a really big sacrifice,
yes,
you know.
it's a sacrifice. I remember this what Danielle told me when I first got married. can you can you be a full-time housewife? I said, okay, let's try.
Okay.
But then after he said to me, but I don't want you to resent me. If
That's
at-
great.
If at the end of the day
That's a
you
good
can't.
word that he used.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't want that at the end when you're like 50 and then you say, oh, just because of you I can't work. Then
Yeah.
there'll be a resentment, right? So
Yeah.
I actually thought about that. Yeah, I think I will resent you if I have to.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I mean, for me, it was more like I think making the decision. Actually, funnily enough, I was on the cusp of wondering whether I wanted to actually go back to work kind of situation. But then I think after a month in of motherhood, I was like, fuck this. I'm actually there's no way in hell I want to stay at home forever with I mean not that I don't love my child, but I needed my own space.
Yeah.
Because like my brain is always noisy, and if I have to deal with like certain things all the
it's not
time,
easy,
it's
yeah.
like it does get very overwhelming. But what was more important that I really wanted to share is that like it was the decision making of what job I wanted to do.
That
Because when I went back to radio, I was like totally thoroughly enjoying it. But it was over a period of time where I suddenly realized like actually the time that has been taken from my child is not worth it anymore. Not that I didn't love radio, but it was the space within itself. I didn't feel like I was growing enough, or I didn't feel like it didn't resonate with me anymore. Like it would no longer align with my values or my principles. And because of that, more so, it felt like I don't need to go out feeling stressed out and come back and realize that I've missed out on a lot of time with my child.
Then the guilt feeling is even more.
Even worse,
Yeah.
because like you come back feeling so exhausted and so drained.
So
And true
true.
enough, so when I decided to quit radio and I'm like now full time doing like emceeing, and then we started this podcast together, it was like it changed my whole perception, because every time I leave now, I don't feel bad for leaving Alia, my daughter. I don't feel bad for, like letting her do her thing, because when I come back later, I'll be like, yeah, I mean, I
that's
did my thing
wonderful.
today.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
That's
think
when
it's
you
because-
know.
Yeah, I think it's because we do something like with purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, fulfilling.
Yeah, and with
Yeah.
purpose, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so fulfilling, and it doesn't that guilt feeling, even though like it's little bit there, but at
Yeah.
least you know that, oh no, I'm doing something
Yeah.
Yeah.
to make myself proud, and it's okay to say it to make yourself proud, not just your children.
Yeah.
Because some things that you do is just for you.
Yes.
To satisfy you. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's your.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like when you become a parent, you have to be a mother first. They say you
Yeah.
have to be a mother first, and then you have to don't forget you're also a wife.
Yeah.
But then you're like, but then you have to remember yourself too, right?
Yeah.
And we can get lost in.
Yeah,
in that.
I always say this, you matter first. You are the first one. This is
Yeah.
what all moms always forget.
Yeah.
They always put their family first, their kids first, or their husband first.
Yeah.
Correct.
But they never put them first.
Yeah.
If they put them first, imagine the amazing thing that you can do. Even the family, even the house, right,
Yeah.
will be so harmonious. Like
Yeah.
you'll be so happy because we bring so much joy
Yeah.
in the house. If you're not there, right, I think it's so boring. Like if
True.
your mother is not there, it'll be so boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mariam always like, oh, daddy, just sit down and watch TV and play with us. And like he cooks and everything, but if mommy's there, it's loud. You know that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So I'm sure like there's something special about all of us moms
Yeah.
that we need to take care of us first.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Right.
And it goes. I mean, the simple example of like even airports, airplanes, airlines will tell
Yep.
you. You know, when the oxygen masks
Yep,
fall down,
yep.
you have to take care of yourself
Yourself
first
Absolutely.
before you take care of anybody else, even your infant or your children, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But then like I do want to go back to like asking you this particular question. It's like it's okay. We have a lot of ideas, a lot of things we want to do, so many goals to achieve. You people just so happen to do everything all at one shot lah. But how did you decide what you wanted to do? Because you do so many things. Like which one, how did you make that decision? Like first and foremost, there's your job. And then you're still doing content creation work. And then you're still like, you're doing your super mommy club. Like,
Yeah.
how did you make that decision to add stuff on?
That's a great question. I feel like it makes it easier figuring this out because I'm a strategist, right? So I like look at everything
Strategy.
as like, what's
Yeah.
my strategy? How do I go in? What's
Yeah.
my purpose, right?
Yeah.
I guess I look at the first one where I have to like, okay, how do I put food on table? How do I put diapers in my, my trolley? And that's the one that I have to pay more, a little bit more attention to, which is my career. Okay, career. But everything I do now in my career, I'm like, how can I also use it to help me in building my passions? More passion, more passion, more passion. Yeah, so my passions would be Super Mommy Club and my content creation, like part-time making content and all that. And it kind of goes hand in hand, right? So even sometimes when I go in and pitch to clients, I'm thinking about Super Mommy Club and Growing Glow and even Mama's Here podcast, because nowadays clients also looking into non-traditional ways of connecting with people, which is podcasts, you know, and content and stuff. So I'm always thinking like how, like, everything is an ecosystem, and I'm thinking about how can I drive it all together. So I guess I've already know from the start, like, the most important things to me is my career and my passions, which is Super Mommy Club and this hobby that I have of creating content and entertaining people and inspiring people. And then that's what I use to like see how I can, whether it's monetize or just make myself happy. That's how I figured it out.
All right. So that makes sense. That's a realistic equation. Like, because ultimately time equals money.
Yeah.
And, or like time. And so therefore it's like, it has to equivalent to either you can actually monetize from it, or it serves the purpose of your passion. It fuels you and it makes you feel like, you know, I can be a better person like this.
Yeah.
Like for you, on the other hand, like, because you so I'm actually interviewing the two of you in regards to all this career related stuff.
Look at her asking, even though she knows already.
No, I mean, but we need to know multiple perspectives at
Yeah.
the end of the day. And like, I
True.
find that like you, Dan, like you're the kind of person who knows exactly what she's wanted from the get-go. And I think not a lot of people have that sort of like, you know, that
So true.
opportunity.
But you know
or
why, right?
luxury. Yeah.
Because there was a time where I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at people who did have it.
Yeah.
And I wanted it. And I realized, I want that. And if people around me, like if you look at people's success stories, if they can get it, then you just do what they did and you can get it too, right?
Wow. Simple only, man.
No, but
Do what they did, but in your own way.
She does know her priority because, well, as much like I do PR, so whenever I have events, I want to invite her, but she knows that okay, Monday to Friday,
I always feel so bad.
But I understand.
I always feel so bad.
The first few times you just I'm like, oh, whatever, Dan. But then after a while, I kind of respect that because she knows her priority.
Yeah.
She said, no, I can't.
Yes.
But then people still invite her anyways when she's available because she knows what she's worth at the end of the day. And we still want Dan to be there because it's fun.
So you're gonna make me cry.
Oh, God.
Because it's not like I don't want to go down. I always feel FOMO every time I see the stories later. Like even if it's not an event that you're in charge of or you're making, it's like the Christmas parties and the children's party, the gatherings that you guys have. I'm like, oh my God, like I would love to have gone. But I look at my calendar and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have teams depending on me. I have people depending on me. I have people depending on me to be at a meeting to make decisions. And if I'm not there, then siapa do? Like I owe it to myself who's fought for my career to, you know, to be present and to be responsible.
How did you overcome that? Like, I mean, how do you get to that point? Because you would have had to overcome the FOMO period, the guilty feeling, the internal struggle of wanting to be
know that this is real. I want to know it.
Yeah, it's like exactly. Like,
but didn't you guys feel it when you were on maternity? When, let's say, okay, because I know you had an emergency C-section. A planned C-section, right? I as well, and we all know that when you have a C-section, it's a bit harder later on, when it's healing to maybe move around.
Compared an emergency.
Compared to vaginal birth, right?
Yeah.
So like, didn't you guys feel like when? I mean, I'm just speaking on my experience, right? Because during my maternity leave, I would see my friends who did not have a child, are not married, they're single, or maybe they have boyfriends and girlfriends or whatever. They would be out, they would invite me, but I'm like, I can't, I'm healing. And I would get very emotional. Like I remember looking at their stories and I'm like crying. because I'm like,
some of your hormonal.
and I'm hormonal, and I'm like, I want to be there too. I should be there, but then I'm looking at my, which takes me back to like suffer now, enjoy later. That whole thing, right? Where it's like not saying that being at home with my family and my child and getting the privilege to like breastfeed and stuff is suffering, but it's like you are
compromise.
Yeah,
the sacrifices
compromising,
and compromises,
and you're on your own journey now, and like, you know what I mean. So
yeah.
I mean, it is tough when you do see things that you want to be involved in, but because you're on a different path in life, you're on a different journey, and you have to just accept that.
And it's okay, because it's part
okay.
of growing up. It's part of something new
Yeah.
in your life. And also, this is a question for, I think, moms that probably in maternity now, or maternity leave, or probably is still pregnant and deciding whether they should work or not.
Yeah.
So what are the defining moments that reassure you about the decision to like work again?
That's a good question, man. Because my boss was so certain I would not come back.
Really?
He was so certain that
so
then
gung-ho.
you're gonna like, maybe after coming back from maternity leave, you're gonna not want to. I mean, he was preparing for me to not come back after my maternity leave. So every month during my maternity leave, he would check in on me, like, where's your where's your headspace right now?
Right.
What are you feeling right now? And I constantly told him, I'm gonna come back, bro. Like, I am.
Fush down.
Yes.
I'm
but then
freaking healing.
Exactly.
My got cut open. A child just came out of me.
But then I had another colleague who was also going through pregnancy, Ida.
Yeah.
And she was on a different path. I mean, she wanted to come back, but she had a lot of family stuff, and then eventually she left the workforce. So it's like two sides, right? But I think what made me realize that I want to come back after work is my priorities, and I want to, like, I've built so much for my career, and I feel like if I stop now, I will let myself down, I'll let my daughter down, and I'll let my husband down, because then it's up to him. It's all on him, and there's no problem with that because he's so ready. I mean, just like Danielle, he even Henry even asked me, he told me that he would prefer if there was one of us to be a stay-at-home parent. And because he was earning way more than me at that time, it's no brainer who the person would to stay at home, right?
Also, Henry had that.
Yes,
to you too.
but I told him, like, that's not how I was brought up, because his mom was a stay-at-home full-time mom.
My Daniel wants the same thing.
But I guess for them, it's like they are the type of man that, like, or the type of partner that's like, my job is to provide, and then I want somebody to also do this job, which is to be a caretaker. And there's no harm in that, because it's just as difficult and challenging to be a working parent and a stay-at-home parent.
But honestly, I appreciate that they are understanding.
Yes.
Because because Daniel said that, I remember that's an ultimatum when we were like when I was pregnant. So I was like, okay, let's just try, because I don't know what to expect. And because my mom was also a stay-at-home mom, so I was thinking, okay, this is the life that I'm supposed to be. But then I feel like I do not have, like, what do I bring out except for taking care of a baby? I don't feel alive.
There's like that identity crisis as well. Like, I think one of my a friend of mine, she was saying how, like, ever since she had the kid, it was never about how are you, what are you up to, like this and that, because it's always about how do you manage your kids. It's all about children related. The role is like, you are now a mother, and that's how you
It starts when you give birth. Like, when everybody visited the hospital and I had the emergency C-section, it was like, how's the baby? I'm like, the baby's fine, bro. But I just had major surgery, so
exactly.
You know?
I used to cry when people say, how's your baby? And I just cried.
So that's
why. Because that's why I advocate for this always. Like, that's why I started to grow and glow, because I feel like nobody cares about us. We've gone through so much.
That's why Mama's Here is for all the moms.
Yes, that's right. Because like even this, right? I'm sure there's so many moms that still deciding, oh, should I come back to work or should I not? Even if I come back to work, how's the baby? There's so many 100,000 questions inside your head. And at the end of the day, it's all, think about you. What do you want to do? The babies will be fine. The baby has an army. They have their grandparents. They have our husband. If you have a husband, if not, they have, like, you might have support group like friends or anything like that. So we're not gonna leave them alone. And even
that's true.
Yeah, and a lot of moms actually, I met a lot of moms, and they were like, oh, I want to work, but I can't. Then I say, why? Oh, because I can't trust anyone with the kids or this and that. But then at the end of the day, you will lose yourself when you're 50 and
Yeah.
like, oh, what am I doing, man?
That's so
Then
true.
you resent your kids.
Yes, yeah. Then you will resent your kids.
exactly.
But I feel like I feel like before I forget the point, right? That whole thing, I have so many moms telling me, even like mom influencers telling me, like, Dan, like when I send Athena to daycare, right? How do you trust a daycare, blah, blah, whatever. Like, I don't trust anybody but me to take care of the kid. I'm like, yeah, of course, like, I also don't trust, but you have to trust your instinct. If this daycare is good, if this nanny is good, you know, if
like
you use
daycare,
it,
man.
if you use babysitters, for example, like you have to trust your instinct. If you don't trust your instinct, then you're the only person that will be able to do this job, and there's no way you can go back to you know, your dreams
And
or
your
your
kids
whatever.
are gonna grow up and they're gonna have their own life. And what are you gonna do then?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a question.
I tell you, man, there's so many questions to ask.
Exactly.
It's like parenting, motherhood is not an easy thing, okay? But anyways, we're gonna take a really short break. Don't go anywhere because our Sassy Sally is coming up next. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, welcome back to our Sassy Sally. So today we have another question. Without further ado, let's get into it. So somebody said, I'm a full-time working mom and I have terrible mom guilt. I struggle to keep the balance between work and family time, and I feel like I have to choose between my son or my career. What's your advice for working moms out there? Okay, personally, I don't have a lot of experience with this because currently I am a stay-at-home mom slash working from home. But I do get that because I still have to go out for work on and off. And it even so, I've already had terrible mom guilt because honestly, leaving my kids at home, and especially if I leave it with my husband, I'm just worried I might come home to a burning house. Yes, and to my husband who's watching this, I warn you all the time before I leave the house, do not burn the house down. So I know how it feels somewhat for moms who are working full time. I have friends and family who are full time working moms. I don't know how y'all do it, but hats off to you guys. So I know the guilt is really real when it comes to this because sometimes to think that we need to choose between our career and our children is so tough. Because I always tell my husband this, when men have children, they don't have to choose between their career because you can easily go out to work not worrying about coming home and the house is a mess and your child is well taken care of. And for moms who have to go out to work full time, we have to actually really give up. Sometimes most of us give up our career because we want to raise our children. But for some of us who chose our career because it's a necessity, financial wise also, and it is because you are trying to grow career wise. So it's not because we don't love our children. We do it because we want that balance. And I understand that, and that's totally fine. For people who are bashing on working moms saying they chose their jobs over their children, we need to have a talk straight up, one on one. And I think for working moms, it is such a struggle to find the balance. And I totally understand why you feel this way. Because when you leave your children at home, you have that guilt that you're not bonding enough with them. You're not raising them on your own and you're letting somebody else raise them. And if you ever feel like, how do you want to find the balance between that? To be honest, this is a personal kind of thing, which is if I was a full-time working mom, I think it was really important that I do find time. If it is on the weekend, it's time to shut off my phone. I have to shut off my phone. It is so important that you keep boundaries and you have to draw a line when it comes to your job. When you go home, you bring your entire self home. Do not bring work home. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, but people at your work needs to know your boundaries. You need to know your boundaries. You need to know when it's time to shut off. And it's important that when you are with your child, you are fully present. And my husband's a full-time working husband, obviously. So I know that it's difficult for him when he comes home to shut off and to be with our child fully. It's difficult when the phone is ringing. But we have this thing called, silent, out of sight, out of mind, people. So if you do want to find the balance,
you have to start with drawing boundaries first. You need to tell yourself when it's time to come home, it's time to come home, rest and be with your children. And when it's time to go to work, you give it your all. And it's still okay. It is still okay for you to wonder how your child is doing. Give them a call, video call them. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Your choice of going to work and get that bag, you do you, girl. Your child will still thank you no matter what because you're contributing in so many ways. Your child will be okay and you will be okay. So finding the balance, it's all up to you how you handle it. So drown out the noises just like everything else I say. If people have so many opinions, it doesn't matter. It only matters what you think, what the people that you love think, and what your child thinks. So don't be so stressed out about it, okay? So, as I always say, love and peace. And I'll catch you on the flip side, and you'll know what it is.
All right, welcome back to Mama's Here podcast. Okay, we're still with Dan and we're still talking about back to the grind, motherhood and the workforce. It's pretty mad, but our sassy Sally had this really, really interesting question about trying to find that right balance. What would your advice be?
What balance? Cik, tak ada.
Go big or go home. 0 to 100.
As in balance between work and being
kid.
and having a child. Like, I think it's. I don't even want to say it to make it. Like, will I sound like a bitch if I say it?
Say it, dude.
Okay, I feel like the balance. I think balance, right? Okay, we always. I mean, okay, agree or disagree, right? You put your child first.
I'm 50-50 on that.
As and when, right? Like,
As and when.
Yeah, so I
As
feel
and
like
when.
you have to pandai like realize like, okay, for me, when it comes to like marriage, it's never 50-50. Like I said, I can't give 100% now. I can only give 60%. Can you give the remaining? Can you do the remaining? And it's also like that with balancing your child, you know? Like I can't give 100% to you right now. And because I have to give 100% to my job. I have to give 100% to my career. So I feel like there's no way you can really balance it out.
I think
You have to, it comes with sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think but more importantly, you kind of have to communicate it.
Yeah.
You can't keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that is when shit hits the fan.
Yes.
When we have this like feeling of like, oh my gosh, like we're feeling very overwhelmed. We don't really know what to do. But then the next thing you know, everything is kalam kabut, everything is all over the place. And then you suddenly feel a whole lot worse because you haven't gotten your house in order. And so because of that, it's like, I think you're totally right, babe. Like, it is an as and when matter where you have to make the decision on who comes first. Whether it is, bearing in mind, your career could be placed under the banner of what defines you as a person because you're passionate about your career, or it could be the fact that it is the money making factor that you need in order to survive. And then there's your child, of course, who needs the attention, but there are moments where you need to delegate at the end of the day. But the whole point of it is, I think it goes back to that same factor, the plane. If you are not in the space where you are able to take care of yourself, it's very difficult
Make sure that
afterwards.
you are okay first.
Yeah.
So when you ask like, when you put kids first, put you first.
Yeah.
And then see where from there.
How about you, babe? Like,
Yeah.
if you were to try to balance that, what would that be like for you?
Me.
Put
But
you
the thing is,
first.
you bring your kids along. To
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
stuff
but
that
honestly,
you
I
though.
do that because I feel like I can do it. You know, like I
Yeah.
can bring them and they'll be there with me, so I wouldn't feel like, okay, I missed out on something, because I'm also very FOMO. Like, oh my god, if my kids can walk, I
Yeah.
don't want to be the last person to
Yeah.
know, kind of thing. But I think it's like you got to do what you have to do. So I think I want to make a content out of this. It's in my head. It hasn't gone out yet.
Yeah.
But you know, on Mariam's birthday, people say, oh, you can't do everything. You can't bring her to Genting and you can't have a birthday party at the same time. And I have a packed schedule. So what I did was, I had a birthday party in her school in the morning.
Nice.
And then I went to Genting at 12. It's doable. Get back down at 6 o'clock. Go back to my mother-in-law's house and made a birthday party there and finish by 10.
That's like a super mom
No,
right
but
there.
honestly, it's doable and everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Just don't have so much questions. Just do it.
Just do it, yeah.
When you do it, just like you said, when you started Super Mommy Cup, I just do it. Like if we don't start somewhere, like if we don't start the podcast, we won't do it.
Yeah.
So we just try.
Yeah,
If we fail
agreed.
later, it's okay.
Yeah.
So I think all moms out there need to just no need to think 10,000 questions. If it's not, it's safe.
Yeah.
It's good for you. You know how to manage. And nowadays we have a lot of platform to take care of our kids. Have a support system. If you don't have your mother-in-law to help you, or you don't have your own mom to help you, you don't have a neighbor to help you. You have like thing like Kiddo Can, everything like that. And like Dan said also, like, how am I supposed to trust? You just trust your instinct as a mom. At the end of the day, it's easy. You just need to make it like, simple for you. Don't make it so complicated.
You know, that is usually the case.
Yeah.
But it all stems from the excuses that we give for ourselves.
Yes.
It really is ultimately at the end of the
That's
day,
so
because
true.
in the reality of it, we cannot let go. We have this innate this ability to, not an ability, we have this disability in us to let things go once we become mothers. And rightly so, because this child came out of you. We grew the child in our bodies, and we want to make sure that the
they're the
child is
best.
safe. But in that particular aspect, I suppose we have to look at the feeling of being overwhelmed in all those matters. I think let's talk about our support system and how we deal with feeling overwhelmed, or what are some of the things that you do for yourself when you feel like, oh my God, there's so many things on my plate, in terms of balancing motherhood and your career.
I feel like sometimes I just take a step back. I have to pause, play my PlayStation for a while.
PlayStation.
Yeah,
So cool.
because you can't forget, right? Like, you are an individual, you have needs, you have yourself. Go get your hair washed, like, just take a step back, and like, this is the way I support myself, right? If I treat myself as Danielle, it's different than how I treat myself as a mom. It's different than how I treat myself as your friend. It's different than how I treat myself as a daughter to my parents, or a sister to my twin, or a wife to my husband. It's so different. But if I take care of Danielle first, everybody else I can jaga. Even my house.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the privilege of having a nanny right now, like a helper, right? Like a orang gaji ke kakak, you want to call her. She's Filipino. She's amazing. Shout out to Giselle. Yeah, she's
I met Giselle.
Yeah, Giselle. But she's amazing. But I have the privilege for this, right? And she's on top of my family, on top of you guys as friends, as mommies, on top of like my husband. It's like she's like this person is like the biggest support, and it's trusting, it's guiding them to be somebody that you can trust them with your child.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of like, if you're not comfortable with something and you need more support to communicate it, whether it's to your nanny or to your husband or to your friends.
Yeah.
But
What if you don't know though? Like, for example, right, you are so overwhelmed. What are the signs you look for to indicate that you need to ask for help? Because some people just doesn't know how to like ask for help. They're just like, it's okay, I can do everything, but then they
It's
don't
true.
know.
I feel like that's Henry. Sometimes my husband, like, he's frustrated with Athena, like, because she's fussy now when she can learn how to stand. She doesn't want to lie down when she gets her diaper changed. And sometimes I can see her almost kind of like, like, you can't be rough with her, she's still a baby, right? But you're getting frustrated and you're just like, Athena, like, stop it, So, but then I always think about what Diyana told me the first time, which is your safe word.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
and we have a safe word. So whenever I tell him, like, come give her to me, and he doesn't want.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, then I'll just say the safe word, right?
Yeah.
And then he'll be like, okay, like, So I think
That's so
when we yell the safe word, it's like, look, it's either I'm overwhelmed or you're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You need to change it up. Do something different.
I think at the end of the day, it's communication. And
Yeah.
make sure that your partner or whoever that you seek for help, understand also.
Yeah.
Like, you can have communication, but if you don't understand each other, it's like,
Exactly,
it
yeah.
goes back to the...
And communication, it's easy, but it's hard. Because then sometimes people might think that because I'm asking for help, I'm not doing a good job, or I'm a failure,
That's
or
how
I'm
we
not
think.
being a good
Yeah.
mom or
So
a good
true.
dad.
And sometimes we feel like for me, I feel like if I communicate and my husband respond with something, I feel like, oh my God, I'm being judged. Like this
Right.
is what is inside my head, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
Then he will say like, no, I'm not judging you. Like he has to explain to me.
Explain to you, yeah.
It's okay. I can this and that. So I'm like, okay, let's just let it go because we're only human, and at the end of the day, we can only do so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's like that feeling of thinking that you are misunderstood and not listened to, unseen and unheard. And it's so common for moms to feel that way because it is actually a very, very lonely journey.
So
altogether,
lonely.
Because
Even though we are surrounded by amazing people.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even surrounded by other moms, like it's like it sucks because we can relate to each other so much, but because our circumstances are so unique to
Yes.
ourselves, that it is still at the end of the day something where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so disconnected with other people. I don't really know how to speak out about certain
Yeah.
things. But I mean, it's really bloody unfortunate that we have no more time
Oh,
left,
I'm so sad.
basically, because yeah, it's pretty much at 60 minutes already. Pass already. Not yet. Okay, I'll talk some more. No problem. Okay, so basically, that being said, we're talking about like the overwhelmingness of moms and stuff like that. Have you are you okay sorry. Talking about like overwhelmingness of, moms and stuff. Let's quickly touch base about Super Mommy's Club. I really want to
Okay.
talk about that
Yes.
because one of the things I love to highlight is that it just so happened to happen one fine day where like Dan was like, hey, come and join this group, dude. And I was like, okay. And there was like 7 people. And then we were like happily interacting. And that was like several months ago. And now
becomes
October, right?
like, yeah.
Almost 200
Yeah.
on WhatsApp and more on Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous how you've managed to grow it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Strategy,
Okay,
Chetan.
let's talk about Super Mommy's Club.
I mean, long story short, I made it because, like you said, it's very lonely. Sometimes being a mother, the journey, because I feel like we're all going through the same thing. We have kids, working mom, part-time working mom, full-time stay-at-home mom, but our journey, our experiences are so different. Our backgrounds are so different. Our beliefs, our values are so different. But I started Super Mommy Club because I realized I was alone, like among my best friends, 8 of us. I'm the first one to get engaged. I'm the first one to get married. I'm the first one to get pregnant. I'm the first one to give birth. So even though I tell them, like, when they ask me, which I really appreciate, they ask me like, how are you, Dan? How's your trimester going? Blah, blah, whatever. And I tell them, oh, motion sickness is a bitch lah. It doesn't only happen in morning lah. It just happens every day, right? All the time. But they're like, oh, I'm really sorry. Like, I feel you, man. But you don't feel me. They cannot feel me. They cannot understand. They don't understand. So that's why I created Super Mommy Club, because I felt like surely there are other mothers out there that feel alone, that need support.
Yeah.
And that's why it was born. That's why I gave birth to Super Mommy Club, right?
Just a second child.
Yeah, second child. Yeah. So and then I realized, after meeting Sofea, I was like, yo, let's start our. In fact, I just told you that maybe we should have like monthly like gatherings with moms. Not
We
really
need the
play
next
dates, but just monthly gatherings just to check in. We can go to a cafe or a restaurant somewhere, or someone can host it at their house. That's my thinking,
Yeah.
But then Sofea was like, no, man,
Let's go bigger.
let's go bigger.
Let's get sponsors
I'm
and brand
But
partnerships.
honestly, I would like to thank Lex Retreat, because that's where we met and we talked.
Oh, yes,
about-
yeah.
Actually, to be fair,
We were there as well.
That particular event was the event that literally got everything started. Because
Yes.
when I found out that we
We
wanted
want to do a
start
podcast. I've
together.
always wanted to do a
Yes.
podcast for a long time. Never
Yeah.
found the right,
Person.
person to do that.
Yeah.
I met D after so long, haven't
Yeah.
reconnect.
Yeah.
And then I met, after that, we were talking about Super Mommy. I said, oh my God, and she
Yeah.
put me in the Super Mommy Club. And I'm like, oh, this is so fun.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
let's do it. Because I have a group, but then I also haven't started anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was such a good place to did a launch, and it went
Yeah.
so successfully. And I feel like I'm so excited to see what Super Mommy Club is going to do this year, because I
Yeah.
know that you have
Yeah.
plans for a lot of things, and
Yeah.
it's growing too, like people coming in and everything. So please join in, guys.
It's
Super
so,
Mommy Club.
and the thing is, it's so organic. I love how it doesn't even have to have the admin no longer does jack shit in the in the
People
WhatsApp
just do
group.
it automatically.
They just like talk
Yeah,
to each
yeah.
other, and then they start answering for each other.
Yeah,
and
it's really nice.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful in that aspect.
Like
It
that's
gives
what
it-
that's what I
Yeah.
wanted in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
some moms will come up to me and be like, "Hey Dan, do you mind if I post this?" Like Sophia's so sweet. Do you mind if I post
because
this?
you do the same thing with
Yeah,
me.
because I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean it's just nice courtesy, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I feel like it's someone's house,
Exactly.
and you have to like, but other moms are they're like they don't ask, but it's cool because it's like that's the whole point, right? It's a community.
Yeah.
Everybody can be transparent and open and
Yes.
share and
Yeah.
and be like just
As long as you're not toxic. If not,
Yeah.
you get kicked out.
Yeah. We're really lucky. We've never experienced
exactly.
that. Exactly.
And honestly, right, guys, I was nervous, because I'm like I've experienced this when I'm in a room full of women,
Yeah.
and it can be
Very,
catty.
Yeah.
Because that's sometimes our nature, right? For
Yeah.
us to like look at a woman and be like,
Judging.
what's
Yeah.
your problem? Why do you
yeah.
why do you look like that? Why do you wear your hair like that? I'm not
Yeah.
wearing makeup. Why are you wearing makeup? That kind of thing,
Yeah.
So
Very healthy lah.
yeah, so I was nervous a little bit, but then I realized, like, when I met these people at our events, at your events, like, I realized, like, oh, wow, like, we're all just trying to find support.
Absolutely.
And, and even though some moms are like, oh, they have found their cliques or whatever, it's okay because it's such a big group, right?
Yeah.
That you can find your people. You're
Yeah.
meant to find your people.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this world is so big. Like, there's gonna be more people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all we want to do, I mean, I know what Super Mommy Club wants to do is just to have a support system, to
Yeah.
be there for one another, and to say like what Mama is doing. We want to be there. Some moms might still be clueless, might not find their person, might not
Yeah.
find their group.
Yeah.
And I hope that Mama's here, Super Mommy Club, even Grow and Glow would help that find their person, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter if you don't hang out with us. It's
Yeah.
okay. As
Yeah,
long
it's
as,
fine.
yeah, you get, that's the point that we want to do. We want to help because we felt alone.
Yeah, Janji, you have support. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether I'm your support or someone else is your support or Diana's your support or Sophia's your support. It's like as long as you feel supported and you have a place that you can run to and be your individual self as opposed to just a mother,
Yeah.
then that's what we're here to be, like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Like during my pregnancy journey, I was super freaking lucky because I had a lot of people who rallied to me to be able to walk me through this whole process. And it also gave me the opportunity to think about certain things that I needed to think for, internalizing my own thoughts and all that nonsense. And passing that knowledge down and like support to other people, it is so
awesome.
rewarding. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It makes you feel so much better. So it's
Diana was my support
yeah,
when
mean-
I was pregnant.
Yeah,
So
but
how-
Diana was post after I have my baby.
Right. She's there lah. She's your godmother. Your
You,
fellow
you
godmother
follow
lah.
her. Okay, Diana. Actually, we want to grow her also.
please, please. I am like not social media as no, but but in all seriousness though, I love that we have created communities that have allowed women to come together to feel like
Yeah.
there is a safe space. I'm also glad that whilst we're doing it individually, we have somehow met on this plane, on like in this track of life, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Like legitimately,
this
it's no
one we
longer
have to
15
go.
minutes. Like we really actually have.
It's
to
fine.
go.
I've had
seriously,
so much fun here.
Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much for
much.
joining
Thanks so much for
us.
having me. Like, great questions.
And
Like, it's just been great just coming out and feeling like I can talk about stuff that
I love that.
sometimes
again.
sometimes I can't talk about these things
Bring
with my sister, right? Or my bring brownies. Yeah. So thank you
Yeah,
for
and you're
like
so
just
open about your experience, and
Yeah,
I think
for
that, I
real.
think a lot of the listener will learn a lot and take
Yeah.
a thing or two from the tips and whatever that you give it to us today.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And definitely to our listeners, I remember it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's more than okay to ask for help, especially when it comes to deciding, like going back to the initial conversation of careers and motherhood. How do you want to balance it out? Reach out to people.
Yeah, you're not alone, you always have
Absolutely.
people
Yeah,
and
and
you always
yeah.
support.
Exactly. Follow Super Mommy Club on Instagram.
Yeah.
Mama's Here podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, and grow and glow.
And Grow and Glow Mama on Instagram as well. So thank you so much for tuning in to Mama's Here. Don't miss our next episode. Stay strong, stay connected, and remember, you're not alone in this journey.
Today's episode of Mama's Here podcast is produced by Kelvin Tay, Raghinie Ravi, and Bryan Henry, and edited by Bryan Henry, Aswan, and Kelvin Tay. For more of us, find us on all social media platforms at Mama's Here Podcast. We've been your hosts, Diyana, Hashim, and Sofea Mastan. Bye! Bye!
Yay! This thing keeps on going down, Kel.